Coming up, Dean takes a fall, we make hard work of getting over a wall, and we come across some dead animals. Minutes to get to Dean's house. Possible. Oh, I forgot the helmet cam. Or the helmet to mount the camera at least. So now we're going to be really late. Okay. Well, it says 8:31 on the clock, so I'm 1 minute late. That's not too bad.
Couldn't get to sleep because I ate too much. I just noticed that I'd got this printout that we never used. Cawdor Quarry. Because I was going to suggest Cawdor one day, and then we kind of went to intake instead.
Well, there you go. You picked some up. It has a name on it. So
does that orders anything? Oh my god, I ate so much food last night.
That's because up to now you've had like 4 desserts, if not 5.
Yeah, I had 3 pieces of fruit. I did a cheesecake for dessert, followed by 3 slices of fruit cake, followed by gin cake. Oh, and then I just felt so full. I thought I might throw up.
Oh well, it's an interesting day. Tell us about Cawdor.
From 4A to 7A plus.
4A?
Park in the same place as Helicopter Quarry, and then go across the road instead of going into Helicopter Quarry.
I know that. So with the car parked across from Holdale/Helicopter Quarry, we just followed our printout, which led us to a small wall across the road. We both make hard work of scaling the 4-foot boulder problem. We'll put that down to carrying heavy kit bags. Next tricky part is a steep descent. The so-called GoPro effect really diminishes the scale of how steep this path was. We just aim to hit each tree on the way down. Once the ground levels out, you can see the start of the long north-facing wall, which has about 70 bolted roots. The rock face looks to be there. After Dean temporarily loses his sense of direction, which results in an unnecessary fight with a tree, we soon learn to keep to the path next to the base of Cawdor's main and only wall. Straying away from the path only results in nettles and boggy swamps. Get the camera to point there, right?
Couple of skulls there.
Camera does not want to. There we go.
What do you think? Sheep? Very small skulls.
Yeah.
Lots of fur.
And the ribs. And the spine is there. Cool. Anyway, we're not here to... This has been quarried. Can you see the drill, the bore holes there?
Definitely.
Where it's come down and probably blasted. So this must be really old. And the quality of rock is superb because it doesn't look crumbly at all. But the surrounding area is so reclaimed. It's just forest. Which we may have a slight concern with midges.
Let's get warmed up.
Let's get warmed up. Yes, the great warm up. First climb of the day, and straight away we noticed the bolt spacing was very good. Plenty of them for the height of the route. Due to the lower wall not receiving much sunshine, the rock did have some damp moss. But thankfully, as you ascend beyond the first and second clips, the rock cleaned up nice, and it was just a case of wiping your climbing shoes on your trousers. We are only climbing routes which have rust-free hangers or have been marked as recently rebolted. Many routes have hangers which were only made of rust and disintegrated in your hands. Never seen hangers so far gone before. Which is also 6A+, but due to this mossy undergrowth, we'll traverse onto the climb on the clean rock. Dean starts to lead the second climb, still in 6A+ territory and still warming into the climbing. When researching information about Cawdor Quarry, I discovered that large areas of it are designated a site of special interest. Reasons for the notification was that the limestone was formed some 325 million years ago and contains shelly fossils and microfossils which are of great interest to geologists. Some of the stone removed from the site was used in the construction of both Hyde Park Corner and the Thames Embankment in London.
Finished the second climb, and now we're going for an explore further down the quarry face in search of harder climbs. Barbed wire fence which ends here. Wow, look how much more climbing there is.
Surprisingly steep. But it claims to be only 6B.
We moved to the third climb of the day, 6B/plus, called Feeding Frenzy. The route had been rebolted, which was a welcome sight given the poor condition of the hangars on the other lines. This climb promised to be a step up in terms of difficulty and claims to have at least 1 star. As it turns out, Feeding Frenzy was way more interesting. It had a variety of cool climbing moves coupled with challenging route reading. Climbing at Cawdor could be at risk from building development. Way back in 2000, the quarry land was purchased by supermarket Sainsbury's. A store and petrol station were constructed and opened October 2007. Further development of the quarry land looks likely, as in 2013 planning permission for 300 plus houses was permitted with conditions. Anyways, this route is on the far end of the crag face on a section named Fisherman's Wall. As the name suggests, we're within sight of a private fishing pond. There have been no reported disputes about using the quarry for climbing, but it is a good idea not to draw too much attention from the fishermen. Being discreet was going so well, until Dean found some of that loose rock.
Good pull.
I was worried about that foot. I thought, should I stand on that foot? It looks a bit crumbly. I tried it and went, oh, look, on, it's working.
And indeed, your hunch was correct. It was crumbly.
Gave way just when I was reaching for a big jug too.
Moving away from the pond, but remaining on Fisherman's Wall, we picked a 7A, 2-star route called Payback. Up to now, all the routes you have seen Dean climb, I've top roped and made the anchors, but this line was beyond me. A shame, as it was the cleanest, most stable rock we found all day, and the line looked awesome. However, small crimps, difficult foot placements and sustained climbing ensured the 7A grade would be well deserved. Normally we find something to talk about during the climbing clips, but listen to the effort Dean puts into this climbing.
Falling. When I was down there, oh yeah, that was the foot.
Yes.
After a rest, head scratch, Dean found a sequence which worked for him and in the end made the rest of the climb look pretty easy. We will have to return to Cawdor, seek out these dog routes and get clean ascents. Overall, a successful Sunday climbing, but will we be returning soon? Well, I'll leave you with our drive home review, which is not very professional.
I will firstly add then, Dean, that the tip of the day is don't stray away from the actual wall, the main wall itself, because you'll end up in a bog or nettles, etc. But what about the climbing?
Well, the climbing, well, it was different. I don't mean that totally in a bad.
Lots of side pulls?
Lots of side pulls, yeah. The angles of the holes were a bit strange, weren't they? To a lot of undercuts and side pulls and things.
Which is great, but you just have to get your brain in that kind of climbing mode before you can get some rhythm.
And it was a little bit dusty and dirty. It's obviously not climbed that way.
So, a question to you then, Dean. What about the bolts?
The routes that had been recently rebolted were fine.
Perfect.
but there were an awful lot of very rusty, totally untrustable hangers and anchors there. The first two 6A plus routes were nothing to write home about. We moved on to that 6B. That was a nicer route.
It was indeed, yes.
That's a better route. And then I thought, yeah, it got better again. The 7A that we went up, that was probably the best route
Of the day, yeah.
of the day.
But interesting, even though the rock on these climbs actually did look quite stable, we were still pulling off good chunks of rock in some places.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think a worthwhile visit.
The thing I would have said to you, in all honesty, Neil, was we've been to a lot of quarries for the first time. We've said to a lot of them, oh, we'll have to come back here one day.
And this one?
This one would be down the list below some of the ones we've been to before.
Right. That'll do. Well, that was an okay summary.